Blizzard has updated their end-user license agreement to include you don't own games, and also, if you have a problem with it, forced arbitration, which means that you are signing that you will not take them to court. You cannot take them to court. You can't sue them. You need to solve whatever issue you have with them directly with them, outside of court. This comes with a whole host of other things in their end-user license agreement and how they have the right to revoke your licenses, take away the games that you own, take away the services that you pay for. Now, none of this is really enforceable, and none of it is new. It's not enforceable because end-user license agreements, in the case of the United States, are very easy to ignore and take them to court. There's many reasons for it. The first and easiest one is that this is retroactive. This is applying today, and you are forced into agreeing with it, and if you don't agree with it, you can't access your games. But by agreeing to it, it is retroactively applying to things that you paid for under a different agreement. The second one is that end-user license agreements are kind of a joke in themselves. They really don't hold up in court, they're easy to manipulate, and they're very easy to dispute and just ignore. They are basically non-binding. To think of how easily a company can manipulate end-user license agreements and why it's so common that courts disregard them. What if I own a company and I sell you a game on my platform? And for you to play that game, you need to agree to the end-user license agreement. And I update it 17 times per month. And every time I update it, I just add a couple of extra lines of text. Yeah, authoring myself with more control over everything in each one of those. Who reads all of them? And how can you justify that applying to a purchase made before them? It's illogical. So there's no grounds for them to stand on, and even less in the case of the UK and the EU. Thanks to different laws in the EU, end-user license agreements are just basically not valid. And the other part of this news is how it's not new. And a lot of people have been pointing out that a lot of companies have done this, but they never enforce it. This isn't big news. This isn't something that you have to talk about or make videos on or make a big stink about, because it's been happening for a long time and there have been no consequences to it. And that is precisely why we have to talk about it, because it keeps happening. And this is their plan of attack. This end-user license agreement by Blizzard basically falls in line to the current end-user license agreement that Microsoft has when you use Xbox, which is also pretty much the same as the one you have on PlayStation. And the people saying that they don't enforce it are right, because they would be crazy to enforce it. Imagine the backlash that would happen around it. But they're laying the groundwork, piece by piece, little by little, modifying things over years until certain situations pop up that kind of justify certain actions that before weren't justifiable. Then that new behavior becomes the norm, and we're all slowly lulled into this new reality where they govern everything, and what your rights are as a consumer and what even the idea of ownership is cease to exist under classic terms and become the hellscape that they create in order to make more money. It's not about the practical uses of this today, because if they did anything like censor a content creator that is critical of them, or if they started revoking your licenses, or if they took any serious action regarding some of the more wild things that are included in these new standard end user license agreements, there would be a storm, and we would ride it all the way to court and fight it, and they would look really bad. So they would never do that like that. Instead, it's piece by piece. That Stellar Blade demo that leaked for PlayStation a little bit ago, people who have it installed on their hard drives, people who took measures in order to preserve access to the game, Sony just didn't let you use it. Even if you had it installed on your hard drive, they revoked the license. They did not allow those people to continue playing that demo. You might say, they've done that before, right? No, they haven't. I have a PS4 with PT on it. Right now, I can play that. And many people had their PlayStations and you could update them, have them connected to the internet, and because you had that piece of software and it was installed on your hard drive, you could access PT. Not the case with Stellar Blade. This is the first time that we've seen Sony go out and revoke a license for something. And if they can do it for this, we now know that they can do it for everything. We knew, kind of, right? But we just didn't expect it to ever happen. But it can. So it starts with these little things that because the Stellar Blade demo got leaked, it wasn't finished, a million different reasons. Hey, it's fine. We understand why this is happening. It makes sense. It's okay for you to have this level of control. And every little step on the ladder of this nature leads to that hellscape. So just because they've had these but they haven't enforced them doesn't mean that we have to trust these companies. We have to be equally wary. We had to be wary when we signed those end-user license agreements back then, just as we have to bring attention to the changes in the Blizzard one. It's a great reason to talk about this problem and how it's becoming standard. More than ever, because while a lot of people have good faith and good history with Xbox and PlayStation, Blizzard is a company that nobody trusts. As a person who was a Blizzard content creator, I don't trust them. Most people who have ever done anything with Blizzard don't trust them. And they have done some really bad shit over the years. So would you put it past Blizzard to be the first company that tries to push the needle? Because Blizzard, and Battlenet specifically, if you look at it, you say, well, it makes sense that they can revoke licenses because they can ban you from WoW, for example, right? Most of their games are online service games, so it's not like I can play them whenever I want. They require that internet connection, and if the servers went down, we couldn't play them anyways. Except that's not true at all. Many of their games have large offline components. Sure, Diablo 4 is always online, but Diablo 3 has an offline mode. Warcraft 1, 2, and 3 have offline modes and important campaigns to video game history. So does StarCraft. So let me ask you this. What if Blizzard tomorrow tried to release the Warcraft Reforged Battle Chest Pack, which is a remaster or a remake of Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. All of them put into a new fancy engine with all the campaigns remade, and they include classic, updated, but true to the source versions of the originals, which we all know would actually be broken, work terribly, and not be true at all to what you remember from those games. Would you put it past Blizzard to take down Warcraft 1, 2, and 3? Would you put it past them that if you own it, they would take away your access to those games and then force you to buy the new one or give you access to the new, better remastered versions in the collection? They would probably never give you anything for free, but would you put it past them to take those games down, even if you own them, and force you into this new one? Because I wouldn't. And that's a clear example of them enforcing this. You don't own anything. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the vision that these companies have for what ownership is and what your consumer rights aren't going to be built in a day either. It's a matter of years and years of steps and steps. And for me, the only way that we can fight back against this is with awareness and with resistance at every step of the way. If every step that they take, no matter how small, is met with resistance, at the very minimum, we delay this happening. We can create enough awareness that if it ever gets truly bad, there can be actual measures taken against it. In the best case scenario, we would build out court cases. We would have laws in place for video game preservation. We would have better laws to protect consumers in the new digital age. But if we can't get the best result, the next best thing is to slow down the progress of them as much as we can. Because I don't ever want to reach that world with that end result. And the fact that it is standard, the fact that there are people saying, hey, this is not that big of a deal, this is common all over video games, is bad. Do not accept this as normal. Do not make excuses for how they don't enforce it. Because you can see it. The writing is on the wall. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen over the course of years and years. It might happen when we're all playing on a PlayStation 7. But little by little, pieces of what we deserve and what we are entitled to as consumers is being taken away from us. And you should know that, and you should fight back to make sure that what you own, and the services you pay for are something that the company is obligated to provide to you. And that's why I won't stop talking about this whenever it happens. Tell as many people as you can to make sure that we protect the medium that we love. And heck, that we protect everything. There's many people out there arguing for these sorts of things in other sectors. Things like the right to repair, for example. And those are all important fights that we need to fight. Stay informed. An informed consumer is a smart consumer. Thank you for watching. I've been Mug Thief. If you want more news, reviews, retrospectives, analysis, and of course, industry news, remember to subscribe. Thank you to my wonderful patrons for supporting what I do. Hit the like button if you think that what I'm talking about in this video deserves to reach as many people as possible. And I'll see you again very soon.